A town in Kentucky has a new mayor, and he is possum. Have you had a COVID test? Well, it don't feel good. We share our experiences coming up. And women wearing wigs instead of fixing their hair for work. It's a thing, and we'll tell you why coming up.
And welcome to another episode of Anchors Away. I am Robert Burns, along with Sarah Threadgill, former TV news anchors, now having a little fun on the other side of things. Thanks for listening. Remember, if you're not already subscribed, why not? Do it. It's free wherever you listen to your podcast. Just search for Anchors Away, and you'll get the episodes every week. And with that being said, Sarah, welcome to the other side of the show. And you, because people can't see you right now, are in the car recording this, hair in a ponytail, comfortable clothes on, looking like it doesn't matter right now.
That's exactly it. Yep.
Like you've had a day.
I've had a day. I've had a few days. I've been feeling just so run down, sore throat, that kind of thing, and decided to go ahead and go get a COVID test.
That's probably the worst decision. That's the smartest decision, but the worst decision to make at the same time.
Well, I knew I was dreading it because it's very much like the flu test, as I've been told, and I don't do well with the flu test. I don't like that thing being shoved up my nose. This was a million times worse.
It's awful.
It was awful. It was awful, and so it was a drive up. I just drove up and, I already had filled out the paperwork, rolled down my window, and the sweet lady said, it's not very comfortable, but I was expecting it not to be comfortable. It was violating. It was awful. Mm-hmm. It was, like a small round toothbrush, and they just shove it up your nose, basically to the point where they're touching your brain. Mm-hmm. Swivel it around, and then count for 5 seconds.
And it's the longest
of my life.
Exactly. It is. I remember I did it, and it was in the drive-thru, and when that stick was up my nose and tickling my brain, I felt my eyeball move a little bit, like it was in the way, and I was so white-knuckled squeezing that steering wheel as I waited the 5 seconds. It was awful.
It was so bad. And before she said, you might want to push your head back against the headrest. And I could feel myself like slouching in the chair as she's like continuing to, push this thing up into my brain cavity. But so my mom's a nurse, and she just started kind of a new thing where she's helping out a company who gives COVID tests. Mm-hmm. And she said, it's not that bad. They only stick it up there just a little bit. It's not that bad. It shouldn't be that bad. And so immediately after, I messaged her and I'm like, you were full of it, mother, because that was horrible. And she says, I think it depends on the person, mm-hmm. I guess, giving the test. She's mm-hmm. like, I'm not that bad. I don't shove it that far up there. But I don't know. I don't know what the protocol is. I mean, is it like touch the brain? Is it just barely scrape the inside?
Supposedly it has to go up in there far enough to get enough of a test where it's not, you don't get a false positive. And so just, like you're, an eighth grader picking your nose, probably not going to do the job. But if they go all the way up in there and they get as much of a sample as they can, or the best sample that they can, that's supposed to give you the most accurate result. Now, did you do the rapid test, or did you do the wait 2 or 3 days?
No, I did the wait 2 or 3 days. Actually, my husband, he was so sweet. He set it up for me because I just was not feeling good. So he went and logged me in and set me up. And it's the 3 to 5 day wait. So honestly, I mean, I've started kind of feeling better this afternoon. I'm sure it's just a cold of some sort. But, you can't be too careful in this period of our lives. And so I thought, it would behoove me to go ahead and just get the COVID test. But I really want that to be the last time I ever have to get a COVID test. I'm going to be extra careful now because it was not fun.
You're going to be wearing masks and bathing in hand sanitizer and making sure the kids are walking around like Cartman in that pandemic special with a 6-foot pole so nobody gets in your way. That's going to be your new life now.
Yes. Well, I had to be careful, though, when I came home because my 6-year-old, he's just big ears right now. He listens to everything that we say. And I was telling my husband about how violated my nostrils felt, having to take this test. And I saw he was sitting there listening. And so in case he ever has to go take it, I don't want him terrified that, they're going to poke his brain with a stick. So I kind of had to redirect my sarcasm and my loathing of the COVID test. But I know there's millions of people out there doing it, and good for everybody. I know
it's it's kind of a day wrecker, I think. I think when you go through that and when you go through the COVID test, you go into it not knowing what to expect, and you're fine. And you go through the drive-through and you sit there, and by the time that stick comes out of your brain and comes back through your nose and you have to drive off, your day is ruined. And at that point, it's just like, I want to go home. I want to be in sweatpants. I want pizza and cookies and to not worry about my hair or how my clothes look or anything like that. And so that kind of leads us back into like getting back comfortable with those sweatpants and getting back comfortable with not making ourselves up as much.
That's exactly I did. I came and look at me. I've got my hair in a bun and
I'm not dumb enough to say anything. You look great.
Shirt with a stain on it. But that's the theme, I guess, of COVID-19 and this year of 2020 is being relaxed and comfortable and not having to get all dressed up and fancy. And which leads me to two of my girlfriends have, since COVID started, gone ahead and bought wigs. They call them crowns, apparently, these days, but they're wigs. And both have long, beautiful blonde hair, and their wigs look exactly like their normal, blonde, beautiful, long hair. Why did they do this, Robert? Why did they go get wigs?
I have no idea. I mean, I can understand why, but from someone who didn't have hair and paid to get the real stuff, paying for the fake stuff, to me, I can't comprehend it still at this point. But I understand there's got to be a comfort level and not having to worry about, if the hair's already made, you don't have to worry about product. You save probably a half hour, 45 minutes time doing your hair. So I get there's some benefits to it. Am I kind of right from a guy standpoint?
Exactly. One of them is a news anchor. So, every day you're having to, and she's a morning anchor. So she's getting up at, 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and then having to fix her hair when that long, beautiful blonde hair, she's having to, blow dry it, straighten it, curl it, spray it. And so all that product and all of that work that she's putting into that, into her hair, it was starting to kind of ruin her hair. And she was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. I can't keep doing this to my hair every single day. And so she decided that she was going to get a crown, a wig, and she did. And it looks so incredibly natural. You wouldn't never know that's not her real hair that she has on her head, but I think it's genius. If I was in TV and doing mornings, that's a genius idea.
But doesn't it itch? Doesn't it get a little underneath the skin? Doesn't it get, a little bit of in the way, rather, as you're sitting there and you're going through, and when you're sitting there and you've got the lights on you and you're reading, it is a little hot. You do start to perspire a little bit sometimes.
That's a good question. And I know she has talked about, if it's kind of loose or if it's, a little itchy underneath. And, second she gets home from doing her shift, which is like, noon, she takes it off and, puts it back on its stand and she even has a lady that makes them for her and washes her hair for her. So it's just, to me, it's a genius idea that I probably would not have thought of myself. But if I got back into TV and I had a morning shift, I think I would be doing the crown thing. The other friend works from home because of COVID. So she wakes up and she's like, I don't want to get ready. I don't want to get dressed. And so, she bought herself a crown, a wig, and it looks so natural. So she literally just gets up and puts it on every morning and turns on her computer and she's ready to go.
And see, the interesting thing to me, and I'm looking online here as you're talking, and I find an article on Forbes, so reputable in my mind. and they're talking about the business of wig. Wig is big business. And, some of these things, they're not cheap. I will say that. The hair industry is not cheap at all. I'm looking at one woman who runs a wig shop in New York. She sells them from anywhere from $2,500 to $8,000. They're made to measure wigs. So this is your wig. You're not sharing this with anybody else. You shouldn't be sharing it anyway. And they're also saying that they are starting to see an increase in wig wearing in women between the ages around 45, rather. We'll just say in the age range of 45 plus, and anything from career women to celebrities, political circles, and just moms who don't want to deal with getting ready all the time.
Yeah, and wigs have been around for a long, long time. I'm not suggesting this is anything new. It's new to me in the sense that it's about moms who don't want to get ready. We don't want to get ready, and we're tired of messing up our hair and putting all that heat on it. So this is just a genius way. So yes, wigs are big, and I just think it's a genius idea. And who knows, Robert? Maybe next time I'm on here, you might see
not
it.
Be your hair. You might be able to switch from red to brown to blonde within commercial breaks.
Exactly. And actually one of my friends has a dark brunette wig, and she's like, I feel like maybe I should be brunette in real life. So she gets to experience, getting to be, brunette and blonde and all of it. So, but they're expensive too. Those suckers are expensive. About $1,500, I think.
Yeah, they are expensive depending on how you go. And it's funny to me from a guy's standpoint to think that you would have the ability to just change the color of your hair like that. When, again, as people know, and you listen to previous episodes, I'm one of those guys who paid to have my hair come back, and I'm sticking with whatever color I got. If it's gray, it's gray. If it's green, it's green. Whatever it is, that's what I paid for, that's what I'm getting, and that's what I'm going to ride into the sunset.
Yep. It's worth it. I think it's a great idea. So, ladies, if you see me on Instagram, let me know if you're into the wig game, because I'm contemplating it, man. If I could just put that on to go anywhere, that would be so much easier than fixing my hair.
I think you can just play with the filters for now and just pick whatever color you want. Transitioning to a news story here. I thought this was hysterical. And we've been talking about the elections for a couple of weeks now, in some way, shape, or form. We haven't taken the brunt of it because that's not what this show is. But we were talking about the elections, and I came across this one very interesting race in a small town in Kentucky. Now, the town is, I would have never heard of it. It's called Rabbit Hash. Okay? Never heard of it itself. It's run by the Rabbit Hash Historical Society. In reality, it is an incorporated area of the county. The county runs it. But the town has never had a human mayor. That is because each election cycle, people from around their little area and people from around the world cast their vote to select a canine mayor for this town. Mostly it's fun stuff. It's a distraction from all the tension, all of the political sides that everyone takes. But everybody, you pay $1. You pay $1 to vote. And the proceeds go toward the Rabbit Hash Historical Society. They keep up the buildings in that area and make sure the maintenance kind of runs. They only have like 400 people that live there. I looked it up on Google. I would probably drive right through it without knowing. But they raised about $23,000 this year, which, if you do the math, 23,000 votes, right? Ish. Take out taxes, whatever it is. And so they have a dog here, Wilbur, who is a 6-month-old French bulldog, is now the mayor of Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, as of last week. Came out on top in the final tally. They beat Bryneth Paltrow, or Mayor Bryn as they know her. She is a brown and white pit bull who entered office in 2016. I think this is a genius idea for a small town that gets zero publicity.
No, this is great. Talk about a great PR stint here. I just think it's funny they're doing it every 4 years, just like a presidential cycle. But yeah, it looks like Wilbur took office, and I don't know. I don't even know what to say about this one, Robert. How do things get done?
You know what? They go online. Obviously, they do a online vote. Again, you have to pay $1 to get your vote in there, and they post the pictures. It's kind of like, when your local humane society runs a little campaign online. Do you like so-and-so versus so-and-so? Pick one. And so that's kind of how they take their ballots, but they had the most ballots they have ever had in any of their local elections, I guess. And it's a fun way. It's a fun way for these people. I mean, clearly they're run by the county, so this really has no meaning for them. It's a neat little thing. And the funny thing to me though is if you look at the pictures, they set up these dogs that run for the office with full campaigns. They go through parades. They're in the front car. They have campaigns, ads. They have pictures, billboards. They promote them on social media. And so you see, little Wilbur, the dog, the French bulldog here. He's in a car. He's in a convertible with a little beanie cap on like I'm wearing right now, and got some dog treats. And you know what? I would vote for Wilbur. I would vote for dogs. I think probably their first order would be no cats in all of Rabbit Hash, Kentucky. No cats.
I wonder if rabbits are allowed.
Of course, rabbits are allowed because that's good chasing.
Well, what's cool, Robert? Next time this comes up in 2024, I think you can vote. It says that they accept votes anywhere in the world.
Yep.
So
you just go on the
just
website.
Mark your calendar for 4 years from now.
And 4 years from now, when all your friends are arguing over the table, arguing over who's going to be the next president, I think you just pull up, who I really want to know? I want to know, who are you guys voting for in Rabbit Hash, Kentucky, for the dog mayor of all the land? And see where that conversation goes. And no one will know, and you will be the genius at the table with the unorthodox conversation. I love the story. I think it's great. I thought it was a fun read. All right, we do want to thank our sponsor for this show, Anchor. It's the easiest way for us to bring you the podcast. They give us everything we need. It's all in one place. And most importantly, it's all free. Everything on our iPhones, on our iPads, on our computers, all the creation tools to edit, it's all included, and they distribute the show for us. Send it to Spotify, send it to Apple, send it to Google. So you can start your own podcast, get in on the game, download the Anchor app, or go to anchor.fm to get started.
I think it's a great story, too. It's unique. Definitely unique. Something else unique. We're talking about murder hornets. Just the name is terrifying. I know. You roll your eyes.
These guys suck, man. These guys just suck. God.
Just the name itself, murder hornets, does it not just fit with the year of 2020? Mm-hmm. Of course we have to worry about murder hornets now, but now they're saying recently, as of the last few days, they found basically a nest that would have created 20 queens to go off and make new nests. So they were able to stop at least that, but they're up busy in the Northwest trying to track down any of these murder hornets they can find.
I like how you say it with such disdain, these murder hornets. Like, oh, I hate these little bastards.
I don't know. I mean, I've gotten stung by wasps several times. I cannot imagine what that would feel like. But I know they don't really go after humans. They go attack other bees. But, it's just terrifying. If you look at them, they're the size of a palm just about.
Yeah, and if you look at any of the, I don't know what they're called, I want to say the beekeepers, because that's what I think of when I see them. But if you look at the beekeepers who go in there that were extracting these murder hornets, they had these beekeeper outfits on, whatever they're called. And, they have the big headgear on, it's all white, but they have to wear extra thick versions of it because the stingers on murder hornets are so long that they can go through the original thin layer. The regular ones, the regular outfits that they wear for bees, they're not that thick. I've had photographers who've put them on. I've worked with people who've worn them. I didn't want to get that close to bees when I was offered the chance to do a beekeeper story, and so I just stayed away. But they're not heavy. But they had to wear the double layers, and they had to have these big vacuums that were sucking out all the murder hornets to try and just stay as safe as they can around them. So while they're not dangerous to humans, you mentioned they're out there. That could have been almost a catastrophe for whatever the local bee population is in the Northwest, because these murder hornets had come from, I think, Africa is where they came from, or
no, I think
Asia.
Asia, and yeah. I actually had read that wrong. It's not 20. The hive that they discovered there were nearly 200 queens that had the potential to start their own nest. So they said they got it just in the nick of time. But 200 queens are going to go out and make their own nest, and I know they're furiously looking for these nests. I can't imagine that being, my job. I actually did do several stories here in Austin when I was reporting about a guy that would come out, and if you had a hive, and some people don't even know they have hives until it starts, buzzing and making these horrible sounds, and they realize they have, 10,000 bees in their roof, and he would come out and he would take them. He would take them. It was an incredible process, and then take him back to his land, and he just basically had acres and acres of bees. But that was his job, is to protect them, because bees are so important. That's why this is such a big deal for these murder hornets. We don't want them here because bees are so important. We know that.
And the best song that I can think of for this story would be to involve the Bee Gees. Just trying to keep the regular bees alive. Trying to keep them staying alive.
Staying alive. Yep. Just trying to keep them alive.
I like the Bee Gees. I like a handful of songs from the Bee Gees. Do you have a favorite Bee Gees song?
No, but I will tell you, I feel like I was born in the wrong era. That is the era that I should have been, born into, to where that was like my music, where I was kind of late 90s, early 2000s was really when I was into music. I love the 70s, and I love Motown, and I love disco, and I love all of that.
I could see you as a disco girl. I could see you one of those rolling around on some roller skates at the Derby any of those nights, big hair, or not big makeup going on.
Of course. I'm a girl from Texas, big hair, big makeup.
I could see you being that kind of person. All right. So I'm going to end the Bee Gees here, and we're going to move along here to something that, well, we haven't done in a couple of weeks, but this week I'm going to air.
The tradition of Festivus begins with the airing of grievances. I got a lot of problems with you people. Now, you're going to hear about it.
Rest in peace, Frank Costanza. And so this segment, no doubt, everybody's sitting there, and we talked about the elections. And I'm going to preface this with, this is going to probably sound stupid, but hear me out. Okay? So Sarah, you and I believe we both watched President-elect Joe Biden's acceptance speech.
Yes.
And Vice President-elect Kamala Harris's acceptance speech right before his. And so there was a point in time in the Vice President-elect's speech where she's talking about how she's the first woman of color and the first woman to be as a vice president in the White House. And great, supporting all of that 100%. I'll even play a little clip from her speech for context.
She came here from India at the age of 19. She maybe didn't quite imagine this moment, but she believed so deeply in an America where a moment like this is possible. And so I am thinking about her and about the generations of women, black women, Asian, white, Latina, Native American women who throughout our nation's history have paved the way for this moment tonight. Women who fought and sacrificed so much for equality and liberty and justice for all, including the black women who are too often overlooked, but so often prove they are the backbone of our democracy.